Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Dark Resolution by Tyner Gillies. I only have a digital copy of this book, so I don't have anything to hold up and show you. If you want to see that cover again, just go back and look at the picture at the beginning of this video. So Dark Resolution is about Quinn Sullivan. He's a constable with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and he's also a guardian with a capital G, which means he's tasked with fighting the forces of darkness. And he lives and works in Resolution Cove in Canada, and he gets an unexpected promotion and a special assignment that takes him to Cranbrook, a small town, where there may or may not be a mystery. I'm being very vague here because I don't want to give it all away. So he gets sent to Cranbrook to figure something out. Meanwhile, back in Resolution Cove, piles of human bones are showing up with what appear to be human teeth marks on them. There's a new darkness in Resolution Cove, and the Guardian is not there. So the rest of his depot mates in the RCMP are trying to deal with something that they really can't handle, and they need Quinn to get back and take care of it. And that's basically it. Very, very vague description of the book. So this is the first book I've read by Tyner Gillies. It is the follow-up to a book called The Watch, which introduces us to Quinn Sullivan. I haven't had the pleasure of reading that book yet, and you don't need to enjoy this book. There are plenty of references to the first story in this one, which takes place, I believe it's 2 years after the events of the first one. So you get an idea of what went on in the first one, but you don't really need to know it to follow what's going on in this one. You just you meet Quinn Sullivan, who is just a grunt sort of constable, I suppose, until he gets that surprise promotion. And he's a really, really likable character. He seems very, very professional when it comes to being a constable. But he doesn't feel he's ready for this promotion necessarily. Well, I guess he is, because he took the test. Whatever. But it comes as a shock to him, and when he's sent to Cranbrook, he's not really confident in his abilities to investigate what he needs to investigate there in Cranbrook. He feels he may be in over his head. And he's not really comfortable with being a guardian. I'm assuming this role was revealed to him in the first book. And it seems like in the 2 years between these two stories, not a lot of guardian work has come up. So it's sort of something he did the one time, and it's hanging over his head, but it's not something he's had to deal with until now again. But really a great character, very down-to-earth. I love the first scene with him where he's dealing with a domestic issue between this couple, and it's just very, very cop-like and entertaining. And you do get the impression this is a small town, a relatively tight-knit community where people know each other. At least the constables seem to know all the citizens. So that was really entertaining. I do like all of the other characters. His, as I said, his depot mates. You've got Dave and Sandy and Rafe, who is my favorite character after Quinn. Really an entertaining guy. Sort of the older cop there. He calls Quinn son a lot. Just a really entertaining guy. But all the rest of the people at the depot, there's a rookie who just is very, very, the things with him are very funny. And then you have Autumn, who is this sort of hippie chick who owns a new age store, and she's sort of Quinn's connection to the supernatural. Again, don't know what happened in the first book, if she's the one who told him he's a guardian. I think so. But she's the one that knows about these sorts of things, and she's that special resource that Quinn has, whom he can go to. And then you've got Quinn's girlfriend and her son. And I like the relationship between the three of them. So a lot of really great characters, which for me was the biggest strength of this book. Anyone who watches my reviews knows how important character is to me, and these are all very strong, very entertaining, very relatable characters. So that's definitely a plus. These are characters that I want to see again. As far as the story goes, it's all pretty interesting. And essentially for most of the book, you have these two separate stories going on. Quinn is in Cranbrook trying to figure out something. And a lot of interesting characters there. He's essentially, he's there to investigate something that the RCMP in Cranbrook has already closed the door on. So there's a lot of resentment from the local constabulary, would that be the proper term? A lot of resentment from the local cops that this guy comes in, and basically they see it as him coming in and saying, you didn't do your job well enough and I need to double check all your work. So great dynamics there between the characters. And what he's, I really don't want to give any of this away. What he's investigating, what it turns out to be, how it's all resolved, was really, really interesting. And we meet some other, not just the cops, but some other interesting characters along the way. One in particular that was surprisingly well-rounded. Could have been just a caricature of this type of character, but actually turned out to be somebody that I really liked. I'll just say it's a goth character. And again, could have just been this goth straight from Central Casting kind of thing, but the character had much more depth than that. And I really liked him. So while Quinn is in Cranbrook, you've got, as I said, the rest of his depot mates in Resolution Cove, and they're dealing with, the day-to-day issues, and then all of a sudden these other things start showing up, these human bones with apparently human teeth marks. It looks like they have a serial killer possibly on their hands, and a number of Sandy, Dave, Rafe. I feel like there's a fourth one that I'm forgetting, but all of these people helped Quinn in the first book, so they do know that there's something in the world other than the natural world. They do know that the supernatural exists. They still haven't quite wrapped their heads around it. I mean, even Quinn hasn't quite wrapped their heads around it, even after dealing with what they did in the first book. And it doesn't help that, I suppose, that 2 years have gone by without any other supernatural issues. So it's sort of, well, I don't think it really fades. It's not something they're going to forget, but it maybe slips off the radar a little bit. And now all of a sudden it's come up again. And they really aren't equipped to deal with it. They need Quinn to come back, but Quinn has to finish what he's doing. And there's communication issues. Excuse me. Quinn doesn't quite realize how important it is for him to get back to Resolution Cove because of what's going on. there are a couple other characters, a father and daughter, who are pivotal to the story, and they're interesting characters. They're connected to the supernatural world, and anytime you put a child in danger, it makes the story much more terrifying. Nobody wants to see little kids get hurt. Well, that's not really true. I do love it when an author is willing to go that far, but I think you become invested in these two particular characters. As little as we see them in the first half of the book, we don't see much of them. They become a much bigger part of it in the second half, and I think you're going to become invested in these two characters. But the darkness, for lack of a better term, without giving anything away, is after them, and they have to be protected. Quinn's not there to do it, so Rafe and the rest of the guys and gal are doing what they can. So again, really, really strong characters. I love these people. And as I said, I only have a digital copy of this book, but I am absolutely going to get physical copies of both this and The Watch and any other Quinn Sullivan books that come out. So this is the first thing I've read by Tyner Gillies, Constable Tyner Gillies. And I'm glad I did. It was recommended to me by another author with whom I'm friends, and I'm really glad that she recommended it, because I am giving this, I'll show you my rating here. I was going to go with mustaches as my picture for my rating. I thought it was funny to go with mustaches because of the whole cop thing. But it didn't seem like it'd be very dynamic, even though I was going to have like different types of mustaches, not the same one. But I decided to go with something else. So I give Dark Resolution by Tyner Gillies, I give it 4.5 out of 5 bloody occult symbols. That's supposed to be blood dripping down. I don't know how clear that is, but and there's a reason for occult symbols, very specific reason why I have bloody occult symbols. You have to read the book to find out. And I actually looked up different occult symbols, so they're not the most accurate drawings, but they are apparently real occult symbols. Obviously, this is the most recognizable, but it's a 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely an enjoyable read. Once I got going, I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to find out, what the solution in Cranbrook is, and what's going to happen in Resolution Cove while Quinn is out of town. Are his depot mates going to be able to handle it? Is he going to get back in time? Who's going to survive? Is anyone going to die before Quinn can get back and stop the rising darkness? Is he going to be able to save everybody? Just really wanted to know, which is just the sign of good storytelling. If you're compelled to keep reading and find out, and just kind of spend your time with these characters. I really like the interplay between all of them. So, I don't know what else to say about this. I recommend it, obviously. 4.5 out of 5. Really a good story. Great characters. I look forward to reading The Watch when I get a chance. And hopefully he's working on more, because I really like these guys. Even whatever he comes out with, I think at this point I'm definitely going to check it out, whether or not it's more of Quinn Sullivan and his crew. Tyner Gillies is an author that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, but I hope there's more of The Guardian to come. So I guess that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I will have a link for the book in the description below, as always, I think you should pick it up and read it. It's very good. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. So if you want more specifics, because I was incredibly vague here, just ask anything down in the comments, and I'll post a spoiler warning, and I'll tell you what's going on. Please like, share, and subscribe. So now that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I have been your host, Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.